Listen, every single one of us has a dream burning inside, a vision of who we could be. And for some of you, it's been there since childhood. For others, it came later, through struggle, through pain, through failure. But here's the truth: a dream without action is nothing but a fantasy. And you were not born to live a fantasy. You were born to become your dream. Be honest with yourself. How many times have you talked yourself out of it? How many times have you let fear whisper in your ear, you're not ready, you're not enough, it's too late, it's too hard? That voice is the enemy. That voice is the reason people die with their music still inside them. But you are here because deep down, you know there's more. More deep down, you know that the pain of staying the same has become greater than the pain of changing. That's the breaking point. That's where transformation begins. To become your dream, you must stop negotiating with your limitations. You must stop waiting for the right time, the right conditions, the right people to show up. The right time is now. The right person is you. Think about this: the version of yourself that already lives your dream, the one who already has the confidence, the discipline, the strength, the courage. That person is not in the future. They're inside of you right now, waiting for you to show up. And every decision you make is either pulling you closer to that version or dragging you away. So here's the choice. Will you keep feeding your excuses, or will you start feeding your destiny? Will you keep rehearsing the story of why you can't, or will you finally write the story of why you will? The world does not need another dreamer. The world needs you to become your dream, to live it, to breathe it, to embody it so fully that when people see you, they feel what's possible for them too. So today, make a decision. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Decide that nothing is stronger than your vision. Decide that no obstacle, no setback, no fear will stop you. Decide that you are done waiting, done wishing, done holding back. Stand tall, speak it, claim it, live it, because your dream is not separate from you. Your dream is you. Now go, become your dream. When you stop negotiating with your limitations, your entire life changes, because most people don't fail because they are not talented, not gifted, or not worthy. They fail because they constantly negotiate with the little voice in their head that whispers reasons why they should stop, why they should wait, why they should lower the bar, why they should settle for less. Negotiating with your limitations is when you wake up and you tell yourself, I'll start tomorrow, and tomorrow never comes. It's when you have a dream in your heart, but you rationalize why now isn't the right time, why you don't have the money, why you don't have the support, why you don't have the knowledge, and all those reasons sound so convincing because they are packaged as logic. But deep down, you know they are lies designed to keep you safe, comfortable, and small. Every time you negotiate with your limitations, you reinforce a prison cell around your own potential, and the walls of that cell get thicker every time you listen to that voice. Think about the greatest breakthroughs in history, the people who changed industries, who wrote timeless books, who built nations, who invented technologies that reshaped humanity. None of them waited for the conditions to be perfect. None of them negotiated with their limitations. They didn't say, I'll wait until I have all the answers. They didn't say, I'll wait until people support me. They acted, and through action, they became the kind of person who could handle the obstacles in front of them. If they had listened to their limitations, we would not even know their names today. And here's the truth. You have that same choice every single day. Every morning when you wake up, the negotiation begins. Your mind tells you to hit snooze, to skip the workout, to postpone the project, to wait another year before you step into your purpose. And in that moment, you must decide if you are going to negotiate with weakness or commit to greatness. The problem with negotiating with your limitations is that it always feels good in the moment, but it always costs you in the long term. It feels good to avoid discomfort, to stay where it's safe, to postpone the scary decisions, but months later, years later, you realize you've been standing still while life kept moving forward. The opportunities you wanted passed by, the energy you needed diminished, the relationships you wanted drifted away, the passion you once had dulled into frustration. All because you kept making deals with your excuses. And the deal is always the same. You trade your potential for temporary comfort. That's a terrible deal. But when you stop negotiating with your limitations, you reclaim your power. You say to yourself, I will not argue with my excuses anymore. I will not let fear disguise itself as logic. I will not let my past define my future. I will not keep playing small because it feels safer. You stop wasting energy debating whether you can, whether you should, whether you're ready, and you redirect that energy into taking massive action. The moment you cut off negotiation, you make room for decisive action. You no longer say, should I? You say, I must. And when something becomes a must, your mind, your body, your spirit find a way to make it real. Every limitation you think you have is only real as long as you argue for it. If you argue for your weakness, it becomes stronger. If you argue for your strength, it grows. If you argue for your dream, it expands. But the moment you argue for your limitations, you surrender your destiny. So ask yourself, why are you fighting so hard to stay limited when you were born limitless? Why are you protecting your excuses instead of protecting your potential? Because the truth is, every time you say, I can't, you are lying to yourself. What you really mean is, I won't. And if you change, I won't, into I will. The entire game changes. It's not about never feeling fear. It's about refusing to let fear negotiate your future. Fear will always be there. Doubt will always knock at the door. But you don't have to let them in. You can choose to answer with courage. You can choose to answer with commitment. You can choose to answer with certainty. That is what it means to stop negotiating with your limitations. You close the door on the voice of excuses and open the door to the voice of power. Look back at the moments in your life where you actually pushed through. The time you didn't listen to fear, the time you didn't let the excuses win, the time you just went for it. Weren't those the moments that defined you? Weren't those the moments that grew you? Weren't those the moments you look back on with pride? That is the proof that you already have what it takes. You just need to stop negotiating and start committing. So every time your mind says, I can't, you answer, watch me. Every time it says, it's too hard, you answer, that's the point. Every time it says, you're not ready, you answer, I'll get ready on the way. Because your dream will not wait for your negotiations to end. Your dream will only wait for your decision to begin. And the day you stop giving your limitations a seat at the table is the day you finally sit at the head of the table of your own destiny. The dream lives inside you now, not later, not someday, not when you finally feel ready, not when everything lines up perfectly, but right here in this very moment. Most people live their lives thinking their dream is something far off in the distance, something they have to chase for years before they can touch it. But that's just another illusion that keeps them stuck. The truth is, your dream is not out there somewhere in the future. It is already planted deep within you like a seed waiting to grow. You don't need to go searching for it. You don't need to wait for someone to hand it to you. You don't need permission to live it. It is already in your DNA, already in your heart, already in your spirit. The only question is whether you will water it, feed it, nurture it, and allow it to break through the soil of your fear, your doubt, your hesitation. When you look at people who have achieved greatness, it's easy to think they were different from you, that they had something special you don't, that they had opportunities you never got. But if you really study their lives, what you'll discover is that the dream they carried inside was no different than the one you carry right now. They weren't born with all the resources. They weren't born knowing exactly how to do everything. They weren't born fearless. They simply chose to believe that the dream was already theirs, and then they acted as if it were true until it became reality. They lived from the place of, I already am, I already have, I already embody. That is the secret most people miss. They wait for evidence before they believe, but those who become their dream believe before the evidence shows up. They trust the vision inside more than the circumstances outside. Think about this. Everything that has ever been created, every building, every invention, every piece of art, every movement existed first in someone's imagination before it existed in the world. The phone in your hand, the car you drive, the clothes you wear, all of it was once just a dream inside someone's mind. If they had treated that dream as something far away, something unreal, something only for others, you would not be holding or using any of it today. They understood that the dream lived inside them in the present, not in some far off future. They made the decision to act from that truth. You have the same power. Your dream is not waiting in some distant land. You can only reach if everything goes perfectly. It is already here, breathing inside of you, waiting for you to live from it instead of waiting for it. The problem is most people put their dream on layaway. They say, I'll start when I have more money. I'll start when I'm more confident. I'll start when I have more time. But the reality is, if you keep waiting for those things, you'll never begin, because the act of beginning is what creates the money, the confidence, the time. You don't wait to become the dream. You become the dream by showing up as it right now. If your dream is to be strong, you start acting strong today. If your dream is to be successful, you carry yourself as successful today. If your dream is to inspire, you speak words of inspiration today. That doesn't mean you fake it. It means you embody the truth that the dream is already part of you. There's a reason you feel pulled toward a specific vision, a certain purpose, a passion that won't go away. That is not random. That is not an accident. That is life itself showing you what already belongs to you. The dream you hold is not separate from you. It is the fullest expression of who you already are. And once you understand that, you stop asking, when will my dream happen? And start asking, how can I live it more fully right now? That shift changes everything. You no longer see yourself as incomplete or lacking. You recognize that you are already equipped, already wired, already chosen for this. When you understand the dream lives inside you now, fear begins to lose its power. Fear thrives on separation, on convincing you that your dream is far away, that you'll never get there, that you're not enough yet. But if you accept that it is already yours, fear has nothing left to stand on. You realize there is no gap to cross, only a choice to make. You are not chasing something out there, you are allowing what's in here to come alive. And once that realization sinks in, procrastination loses its grip because you stop waiting and start being. Think about the energy you give off when you live as if the dream is already inside you versus when you believe it's far away. When you think it's far away, your energy is full of hesitation, doubt, insecurity, and people can feel that. But when you know it's already in you, your energy shifts into confidence, passion, certainty, and that draws opportunities, resources, and people towards you. Life mirrors back what you believe. If you believe your dream is distant, life keeps it distant. If you believe your dream is here, life shows up to prove you right. You don't need to keep asking for signs. The dream itself is the sign. The fact that it lives inside of you is proof enough. Not everyone carries your exact dream, your exact vision, your exact fire. That uniqueness is evidence that it was planted in you for a reason. You wouldn't feel it so strongly if it wasn't already a part of who you are. And when you stop treating it as some future event and start living as if it's already alive in you, you unlock momentum that can't be stopped. You stop waiting for permission and start living with conviction. The person who lives your dream, the confident, bold, successful, powerful version of you, is not someone you will meet years from now. That person is already here inside you waiting to be let out. And the only way to let them out is to stop pretending you need more before you can be them. You don't need more. You need to step into what you already have. You need to remember that the dream has been alive in you from the very beginning, and every time you act on it, it grows stronger, it becomes clearer, it turns from invisible to visible. Your dream is not a destination. Your dream is your identity waiting to be lived fully. It is not something to chase, it is something to embody. And the sooner you stop putting it off for tomorrow, the sooner you start living it today. Every decision is a vote, whether you realize it or not. Every choice you make throughout your day is casting a ballot either for the version of yourself that is aligned with your dream or for the version of yourself that stays stuck where you are. The food you choose to eat, the words you choose to speak, the thoughts you choose to dwell on, the way you choose to spend your time, all of these are tiny votes being counted toward the person you are becoming. People think transformation happens in big dramatic moments, but real transformation is in the accumulation of small choices made over and over again until they add up to an identity. If you want to become your dream, you cannot afford to think of your choices as neutral because every decision tilts the scale one way or the other. When you choose discipline over comfort, that's a vote for your dream. When you choose honesty over convenience, that's a vote for your dream. When you choose growth over stagnation, that's a vote for your dream. But when you choose procrastination, when you choose fear, when you choose to settle, those are votes against your dream. They're votes for staying the same. They're votes for limitation. The problem is most people don't think about their decisions in that way. They treat them like isolated events, disconnected moments that don't matter much on their own. But nothing could be further from the truth. Every small choice compounds, every small choice accumulates, every small choice reinforces who you are becoming. The reason some people never reach their dream is not because they didn't want it badly enough, it's because they consistently cast their votes for the wrong identity. They kept telling themselves, it's just this once, it doesn't matter. But every just once was a vote for staying small. Every just once was a reinforcement of the old pattern. Every just once was a delay of their destiny. And the scary part is you don't even notice the damage right away. The consequences pile up silently until one day you wake up and realize years have passed, your dream has faded, and all those little decisions shaped a life you didn't want. But the power of this truth is also liberating, because if every decision is a vote, then you always have another chance to cast a different one. You don't have to wait until tomorrow. You don't have to wait until next year. You can start voting for your dream right now. You can decide in this moment to align your next choice with the person you want to be. And the moment you do that, you start shifting your identity. It doesn't matter how many votes you cast in the past for your limitations. The vote that matters most is the one you cast now. The process of becoming your dream is not about perfection, it's about consistency. You don't have to win every vote, you just have to win the majority. Just like in an election, one vote doesn't determine the outcome, but the accumulation of votes does. If most of your choices are aligned with your vision, then inevitably your identity will shift and your reality will follow. That's why it's so important to focus less on outcomes and more on decisions. You cannot control every result, but you can control every choice. And if you keep choosing in alignment, results will take care of themselves. Think of your dream as a muscle. Every decision is a rep. Every time you make the choice that aligns with your highest self, you strengthen that muscle. Every time you choose otherwise, you weaken it. The stronger the muscle gets, the easier it becomes to keep choosing right because momentum builds in your favor. At first, it feels hard, it feels unnatural, it feels like you're forcing yourself, but over time, it becomes who you are. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to push so hard because casting votes for your dream becomes automatic. That's the power of compounding choices. Your brain is always watching you. It's always keeping score. Every decision you make is evidence for or against the identity you're building. If you say you want to be healthy, but you constantly vote against your health, your brain collects that evidence and decides you're not serious. If you say you want to be wealthy, but you constantly vote against your financial growth, your brain collects that evidence and builds the identity of someone who talks about wealth but doesn't live it. But if you consistently cast votes in alignment, your brain starts to believe it. It rewires itself. It begins to support the new identity rather than fighting against it. This is why integrity with yourself is non-negotiable. When you say you're going to do something and you actually do it, that's a vote for self-trust, a vote for confidence, a vote for becoming the version of yourself who lives your dream. But when you break promises to yourself, even small ones, you're voting for doubt, for weakness, for limitation. You train your brain not to believe you, and that robs you of momentum. So you must treat every promise to yourself as sacred because each one is a ballot cast in the election of your future. And understand this, the votes don't just stay with you, they ripple outward. Every decision you make influences the people around you. When you cast a vote for courage, you inspire someone else to do the same. When you cast a vote for discipline, you model what's possible for others. When you cast a vote for growth, you create a ripple effect that multiplies beyond what you can see. You're not just voting for your dream, you're voting for a legacy. So when you face the next decision, and you will face it soon, pause and ask yourself, who am I voting for right now? Am I voting for my dream, or am I voting for my fear? Am I voting for my future, or am I voting for my past? Am I voting for the person I want to be, or am I voting for the person I said I was done being? That level of awareness changes everything, because the truth is, every moment is an election, and the ballots are in your hands. Pain is the doorway, and most people spend their entire lives running from it, avoiding it, numbing it, distracting themselves from it, doing everything they can to escape it, not realizing that the very thing they are avoiding is the path to their transformation. Pain is not the enemy. Pain is the signal, the teacher, the messenger that tells you something must change. It is the fire that burns away what no longer serves you, the weight that forces you to grow stronger, the pressure that shapes you into the person who can carry the dream you've been given. Without pain, there is no urgency. Without pain, there is no reason to let go of the old. Without pain, there is no doorway to the new. Think about the moments in your life when you truly grew, when you became more than you thought you could be, when you broke through to another level. Was it in times of comfort, ease, relaxation? Or was it in times when you were brought to your knees, when you were stretched, when you were tested, when you thought you couldn't take another step, but somehow you did? Those moments of pain, as brutal as they felt, were the doorway that led you to a stronger identity, deeper wisdom, and greater capacity. Pain cracks open the shell of who you used to be so that the next version of you can emerge. The problem is most people misunderstand pain. They label it as punishment, as unfair, as something to get rid of as quickly as possible. But pain is never random. Pain is feedback. Pain is life saying, this is not who you are meant to be anymore. This is not where you are meant to stay. It is the alarm clock of the soul. When the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the pain of change, that is the moment when people finally break free, finally take action, finally make the decision they've been avoiding. Pain moves you when nothing else will. Imagine a person who touches a hot stove. The pain is immediate, sharp, undeniable, and it forces them to move their hand. Without that pain, they would leave their hand there and cause irreversible damage. Pain in life works the same way. It forces you to move, to act, to change, to grow. The heartbreak, the disappointment, the failure, the rejection, they sting, but they also awaken you. They push you to ask deeper questions, to develop new strengths, to discover parts of yourself you didn't know existed. Without that pain, you would have stayed asleep, comfortable but limited. With it, you are pushed through the doorway of growth. And here's the truth, pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Pain is the doorway, but suffering is what happens when you sit at the doorway and refuse to walk through. Suffering is resisting the lesson, resisting the growth, clinging to what needs to be released. Pain says, move. Suffering says, stay. The choice is yours. You can let pain become the excuse that breaks you, or you can let pain become the catalyst that makes you. The doorway is always there, waiting for you to step through. When you begin to see pain differently, it loses its power to paralyze you. You stop fearing it, and you start respecting it. You start asking, what is this teaching me? What strength is this building? What part of me is being called to rise? That shift in perspective turns every challenge into an opportunity. Instead of seeing obstacles as blocks in your path, you begin to see them as stepping stones that are shaping your path. Every setback becomes a setup. Every one becomes wisdom. Every struggle becomes strength. The dream you carry inside you will demand more of you than the version of you that exists right now. That's why pain shows up, because pain is the training ground. Pain is the resistance that builds your resilience. Pain is the weight that strengthens your character. You cannot carry the weight of your dream with the muscles of your old self. You have to be broken open, stretched, refined, expanded, and pain is the tool that does that. Just like a diamond is formed under pressure, your destiny is formed through pain. Without the pressure, you remain coal. With it, you shine. Think of an athlete in the gym. Every rep that burns, every weight that feels too heavy, every moment their muscles scream is pain, but it is not pain to harm them. It is pain to grow them. If they avoided that pain, they would never get stronger, never build the capacity to compete, never fulfill their potential. Life is your gym, and every painful experience is a rep that builds the strength you need to carry your vision. There are people who will spend their entire lives avoiding pain, and as a result, they never access the depth of their own power. They stay in the job they hate because leaving would be painful. They stay in the relationship that drains them because ending it would be painful. They stay in the cycle of bad habits because breaking free would be painful. They tell themselves they are avoiding pain, but what they don't realize is they are choosing a different kind of pain, the pain of regret. And the pain of regret is far heavier than the pain of growth. When you embrace pain as the doorway, you stop being surprised by it. You stop asking, why me? And start saying, why not me? You begin to expect it, not as a punishment, but as proof that you are on the path of becoming. You know that every new level of life will require you to shed an old layer of yourself, and shedding hurts. But on the other side of that shedding is freedom, strength, and alignment with your dream. Pain humbles you, pain awakens you, pain shapes you, pain prepares you. It shows you what you are made of. It strips away the illusions you hide behind. It forces you to discover the strength you didn't think you had. And every time you walk through that doorway, you expand, you become more of who you were meant to be. You stop fearing life and you start engaging with it fully, knowing that no matter what pain comes, it is not there to stop you. It is there to guide you. Embodiment is the key, because it is not enough to think about your dream, to talk about your dream, to write about your dream, to post about your dream. You must become it. You must live it, breathe it, embody it so deeply that it shows up in the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you look at people, the way you carry yourself. The greatest mistake people make is separating themselves from their dream, treating it like a destination far away rather than an identity they can embody right now. When you embody your dream, you stop hoping for it and you start being it. You shift from waiting into living. You shift from wishing into acting. You shift from someday into now. Embodiment means you don't wait for the external world to give you proof before you step into your vision. You become the proof. You decide that the person who already lives your dream is alive inside you, and you choose to express that person in every choice, in every interaction, in every situation. If your dream is to be strong, you act strong now. If your dream is to be wealthy, you treat your money with respect now. If your dream is to inspire others, you start speaking with inspiration now. You stop treating your dream as something separate, and you start embodying it in the smallest daily actions, because those actions compound into an identity, and identity shapes destiny. Most people never embody their dream because they are trapped in the illusion of, I'll be it when I have it. They say, I'll be confident when I succeed. I'll be disciplined when I feel motivated. I'll be happy when I achieve the goal. But that's backwards. Success does not create embodiment. Embodiment creates success. When you carry yourself as the person you want to be, you send a signal to your brain. to your body and to the universe that this is who you are now, and everything begins to align with that identity. You don't wait for proof. You create proof by living it. Think of actors preparing for a role. The best actors don't just read the script, they embody the character. They study how the character would think, speak, move, react, and they live it until it becomes second nature. In the same way, you must embody the role of your dream. You must step into the character of your higher self and live it so fully that it ceases to be an act and becomes your reality. When you embody, you don't just play the part, you merge with it. And when you merge with it, life begins to treat you as that person because that's the energy you radiate. Embodiment is also the bridge between knowledge and transformation. You can read all the books, attend all the seminars, listen to all the podcasts, but if you don't embody the principles you've learned, they remain intellectual concepts that never change your life. Embodiment is taking what you know and turning it into how you live. It is moving from theory into practice, from information into integration. You cannot think your way into becoming your dream. You must act your way into it. When you embody your dream, your energy shifts. People feel it before you even speak. They can sense your conviction, your alignment, your presence. Opportunities begin to open because the world responds to authenticity, and nothing is more authentic than someone embodying who they truly are. That's why embodiment is magnetic. It draws in the people, resources, and chances that match the frequency you are living at. When you embody your dream, you no longer chase, you attract. Embodiment also demands integrity. You cannot say you want one thing and consistently act in a way that contradicts it. Every time you do, you break trust with yourself, and without self-trust, there is no power. Embodiment is about aligning your words, your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions so that they all point in the same direction. When there is alignment, there is momentum. When there is contradiction, there is resistance. If you say you are committed to your dream, but your actions vote against it, you are not embodying it. You are playing a game of make-believe, and life will always reflect the truth of what you embody, not the fantasy of what you say. To embody your dream is to live with discipline even when it's uncomfortable, to show up consistently even when you don't feel like it, to choose actions that align with your higher self rather than your lower impulses. Embodiment is not glamorous. It is not about the highlight moments that everyone sees. It is about the countless unseen decisions that build the foundation of your identity. It is in the way you treat yourself when no one is watching, in the way you use your time when no one is checking, in the way you persist when no one is applauding. That is the real test of embodiment. There will always be a gap between the dream in your mind and the reality in front of you. Embodiment is the bridge across that gap. The moment you start embodying the dream, you are no longer defined by what you lack. You are defined by what you are becoming. You begin to close the gap by living as if it were already closed. You don't wait for evidence to give you permission to step in. You step in and the evidence begins to show up. That is how reality bends to match identity. And embodiment is not just about action. It is about state. It is about the way you hold your body, the way you breathe, the way you focus your mind. If your dream version of yourself walks with confidence, then embody that walk now. If your dream version of yourself speaks with power, then embody that voice now. If your dream version of yourself radiates joy, then embody that energy now. Your physiology is the fastest way to access embodiment, because when you shift your body, you shift your state. And when you shift your state, you shift your reality. Embodiment is about refusing to be a spectator in your own life. It is about stepping onto the stage fully, no longer rehearsing in the shadows, no longer waiting for someone to call you forward. You call yourself forward. You decide that you are done watching from the sidelines, and you begin playing the game of life as the person you were always meant to be. Every day, in every moment, you have the choice to embody your dream or deny it. And that choice, repeated again and again, becomes your destiny.